Welcome to Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in Long Beach. Today we are joined by Lena Gonzalez. She is a councilwoman with the Long Beach City Council. And I want to speak with you about what's known as polystyrene. I've heard of it, but what is polystyrene?
So polystyrene is a mix of many different things, but it's plastics, like your utensils, forks, spoons.
Right, so example, this is polystyrene. These forks that I may get at a local restaurant if I do takeout.
That's correct.
So, but then there's the question of expanded polystyrene. What is expanded polystyrene?
So expanded polystyrene, very different.
Okay.
It is what we know as styrofoam, the trademarked name. And it includes clamshells, your takeaway containers,
Right,
cups, that styrofoam material, but anything that is really of that nature. It also includes, packaging material as well as expanded polystyrene. That is also included in that.
Now, is expanded polystyrene as a general proposition, is it biodegradable?
It is, however, the caveat is that it takes about 500 years to biodegrade.
Oh, that's a long time.
So
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call that biodegradable. I mean, what do I know? But that's a long time.
That's correct.
And is it recyclable?
It's very hard to recycle.
Okay.
So a lot of, in the city of Long Beach, we can recycle clean expanded polystyrene, but more than likely, your food containers are going to have some contaminants.
It's
so
funny
it's
though,
be really
because I've
difficult.
seen my wife sometimes clean out the food containers and then put it in the recycle bin, and I guess that's what she's trying to do.
Yes.
Is create it so, but I guess there is the issue of foodborne illness.
That's correct.
Okay, so
Very hard.
what do we also know about expanded polystyrene in terms of its impact on the oceans? Do we
Yes.
find it in the oceans?
We do. We find it in the oceans. What's horrible is that there are contaminants. There's toxic chemicals within the expanded polystyrene. So as we have our aquarium, as we're trying to get better grades on Heal the Bay,
Right.
The same council meeting I proposed this item, we actually were
And we'll talk about that
touting-
soon.
Yeah, touting the aquarium, and yeah.
You're at the Long Beach Aquarium?
Yes,
Right,
we were
which is
talking
a crown jewel here in Long
amazing.
Beach.
And so to talk about all that, it's really important that we notice that, styrofoam and expanded polystyrene is a problem.
And I understand that there may be some cancer risks in connection with expanded polystyrene, is that right?
There is, and it's still being studied.
I understand.
Like many cancer studies, there's a lot to be looked at, but yes, there is some connection to styrofoam and cancer.
Okay, so let's talk about, you hinted at it already, you have made a proposal
Yes.
with the Long Beach City Council dealing with polystyrene. What is your proposal?
Yes, so the proposal is expanded polystyrene, and so it would work with our city manager and city attorney to bring back an ordinance. So we have approved that. It was a unanimous 9-0 vote to approve completely removing expanded polystyrene from restaurants, the distribution of expanded polystyrene, so food containers, all that.
And what's interesting is this issue has been before the council, even before you were on the council. I guess 10 or 12 years ago, there had been moves to ban it completely. Is that right?
That's correct.
What happened?
So about 2005, so a little over a decade
Right.
ago, it was proposed by then Councilmember Frank Colonna.
Sure.
That was just to eliminate it from municipal city buildings and events.
Now that did pass ultimately?
It did in
Okay.
2007.
Okay, so that passed.
So yes. So then that passed, everything was great, but then in 2007, people were saying, no, we need to go a bit further.
Right.
So we did a huge outreach to many business communities, also those that were advocates for styrofoam. Everyone came to the table. And it was proposed that, recommended by city she was the city manager at one point, Suzanne Frick,
Sure.
and our public works director, that we completely ban expanded polystyrene.
But for whatever reason, it didn't happen.
It did not happen.
Okay.
And so
Now,
here we are now.
we do know that 99 other cities in California have banned expanded polystyrene. One of them is Pasadena.
Yes.
And you are looking at Pasadena to offer guidance on how you might engage in this.
Correct.
Tell us what you're doing.
Yes, so that is a great example because Pasadena just passed their ordinance. They include in that not just to ban it that day that we decided to vote on it, but to give an 1 year kind of education phase to educate our business owners, our residents, to educate people in the community about what this will do to the environment, the cost impacts,
Right.
and alternatives we can provide.
So
to
it's a
people.
phase-in.
Yes,
Let's give some
absolutely.
time for businesses to adjust.
That's correct.
But do we know what the replacement will be? Because look, I want my Mexican food to come home with me, as my Chinese food, as all my food. And
Yes.
those clamshells, I hear you, but they've been efficient.
Sure.
What do we know
Absolutely.
in terms of replacements?
Well, we don't want to provide a specific replacement for people.
I
That's not
understand.
the
Right,
idea.
I
It is
understand.
to eliminate expanded polystyrene, but it's also to look at the options, because some of them are not really that costly for restaurants. So
Right.
paper, people are currently using paper. Berlin Bistro and Portfolio
Okay.
owner, she uses paper, which is amazing.
Meaning a box made of
Yeah,
paper?
just a box made
Okay.
of paper, cardboard. That
Sure.
takes 20 years to biodegrade, so
Okay,
that's a little
yeah,
easier.
okay.
And then you have someone like Luis at Lola's, who is using a
I love
fiber.
that you're using local restaurants as
Yes,
examples.
'cause
You're such a
they're-
good council member.
I try. They're amazing.
Tell us about
owners.
Louise and
yes,
Lola's.
and Luis uses, I think, a fiber, really good biodegradable product, and that is a little bit more costly, but
Right.
that's his business model, and that's what he prefers to use. So it's great.
But I believe you've done some of the math.
Yes.
And there are replacements that are at or near
Yes.
the cost of expanded polystyrene.
Yes.
Styrene. So it's not going to be a huge hit.
No, I think paper products are a good alternative. And again, we're not excluding plastic forks.
Right,
and
these
all
are
of
still
that.
good.
Those are still
Yeah.
good. Straws are still okay. So those are things that we're working and phasing into this ordinance.
When some jurisdictions phased out the plastic bags, you know what we're talking about, they were replaced with paper. And I'm not sure if it's all jurisdictions or some, they will charge you 10 cents
Yes.
for a paper bag. Does the ordinance address that?
It doesn't address the plastic bag.
Right, but meaning-
Right, but the
Can the business under your ordinance charge if they so choose, or is it simply silent?
It's just silent on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're giving direction on the alternatives and what you could do in the charging. I think it's really just to look at the bigger impacts of the environment and do something different, because this has been a pollutant in our waterways.
Right.
Littering, I mean, you see it everywhere, especially after we have a good storm.
Right.
You're seeing those takeout containers all over the place.
But as you understand it, there are some economically equal
Sure.
options.
Sure.
What's kind of cool, if I may say, is that if this does pass, and I'm not taking a position, but if it happens
Sure.
to pass, you would be the 100th city in
know, it's
California,
great.
number 100
nice.
to do this. And so sometimes it's nice to be the first,
Right.
but if you can't be the first, you could be the 100th.
Yes.
And so this would be the 100th city. There are 13 cities that only ban for government purposes. That's Long Beach is
Sure.
one of them.
Yes.
So how does it look? I mean, you need, I guess, you have a 9-member council.
Yes.
You need 5 votes. Does the mayor vote separately, or
He does not.
Okay.
So he has, but he's expressed interest and support for this
Okay.
item.
Can he veto?
He down the
Theoretically.
road,
No,
yes.
theoretically.
Sure,
I don't.
he can.
I mean, I would presume Mr. Garcia.
He can, but
Yeah. We're
yeah,
good.
he's good.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good.
So the initial phase was to bring back the ordinance. So the ordinance is on its way.
Okay.
It goes through 2 hearings, and so I think in the 120 days or so, we'll get it back, which coincidentally is around Earth Day.
Okay, so you'll let us know what happens?
So I'll let you know what happens.
Okay,
So
her
it's great.
name is Lena Gonzalez. She is a councilwoman in the city of Long Beach, where we are today. My name is Brad Pomerance. So glad you joined us on Local Edition.